Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. During the declared emergency, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and in-person attendance limitations. My name is Isaac Laluz and I'll be chairing the hearing. Panel members participating today via WebEx and can be seen and heard are Ms. Atarodi, Ms. Manning, Mr. Bartolo, and Mr. Klassen. City staff will be assisting us throughout the meeting, including moderating the WebEx platform. And with us today is Dan Antonacci, who is the Deputy Secretary Treasurer, Kelly Reid, and Chris Pereira. Participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentation to the committee via WebEx. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching on YouTube. These participants will be connecting either by their computer, a phone, a tablet app, or by telephone. All participants will automatically be muted upon entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members will be participating by video. Any registered speaker will be participating by audio only. We ask that you also mute your devices until you're called on to speak. For all those waiting to speak, please make sure you call with the same telephone number you originally registered with. Calling with a different number, you will not be able to speak on the item. For land acknowledgement, we acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many of the nations, including the Hanachoni, the Chippewa, the Wendat people, and the home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Section 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provision of the zoning bylaw, permission to extend or alter legal non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. Anyone who wants to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address because Committee of Adjustment and the TLAB will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email only. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, decisions may be appealed to the Toronto local appeal body known as TLAB or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Lands Tribunal. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. The hearing procedure will be as follows. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant will proceed with their presentation if required, and the committee may ask questions and or take the matter directly for a decision. Each speaker, including the application agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when the 5-minute mark is reached. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address, and please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to receive a notice are informed of the changes. Then individuals either in support or in opposition to the application will be invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker at the end of their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant agent has the chance to address only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion and the application will be taken to committee for decision. Now we have, there is no, of course, no confirmation, and we have two deferrals. But before that, for this afternoon session, committee members and staff, any conflict of interest to declare? No? Thank you. So we have a request for deferral on a number 30, which is 34 Green Valley Road. And here we have the agent, who is Robert Bader. Robert Bader, are you there?
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, Chair and members.
Hi, can you please state your name and address for us?
Robert Bader, 38 Albany Street, Etobicoke, Ontario.
Thank you. We have this for an application for the new dwelling, 11 variances. Staff reports as to defer the application. TRCA also requests deferral, and we have a number of oppositions, 31 letters, 3 supports, and councillor letter agrees with the staff for refusal. So you asking for deferral, could you please give us the reason you're deferring the application, and we have to hear from the other residents.
We're still working out some design elements with the TRCA in order to obtain support from the TRCA in respect of this application. We had identified a miscalculation in the zoning certificate that was provided by North York zoning staff only yesterday afternoon.
Okay.
That has since been revised, so I think that's going to be a reflection of the notice in respect of that.
Okay. Yeah, that's a reason. Okay, so
there are moving pieces and
possible revision. Okay, all right. Okay, so let's hear from the residents and make sure that they're okay with the deferral. I understand the reason, and we'll see what we have here. Hugh Ridelman here.
Mr. Chair, we do not have that participant by name or by number.
Okay. And Nicholas Dhillon, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, could you please state your name and address for us?
Nicholas Dillon, 12 Donwoods Grove, Toronto, Ontario.
Thank you. So you heard what's happening. The agent is asking for deferral. That means we're not going to discuss it today. Just to defer it, and you'll be advised when the application is coming back. You're okay with that?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we have Linda Dillon. Are you there?
Yes, Lydia Dillon.
Lydia. Oh, Lydia. Thank you.
Lydia.
Lydia. Okay. Now, you heard what's happening. We just, there is a request for deferral, which means we're not going to discuss it today. When it comes back, you'll be notified when it's coming back, okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So that's all we have here. And members, any question for to the agent for the deferral? If no questions, can I have a motion for deferral? Yeah, Miss Manning?
I'll make the motion for deferral.
Defer sine die, right?
Yes.
Sine die. Thank you. Okay, we have a request. We have a motion to defer sine die from Miss Manning, and I need a second. Do I have a second? Mr. Klassen, second. All in favor? Okay, thank you. Okay, sir, your application is deferred sine die, and check with the staff when it's coming back.
thank you, Chair and members. I think we're back in April 14th.
Thank you. Whenever you come, let's check with them. Okay, we have another request for deferral, which is application number 33, which is 172 Albertus Avenue, and that is application number 33. And here we have here Mr. or Mrs. Okay, David Egelman, are you there?
Yes, good afternoon,
Hi.
Mr. Chair and fellow committee members.
Hi. There is a request for deferral. Could you please tell us the reason?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, we are requesting deferral because we did identify that there are variances missing from the public notice. So there is a public notice issue with this application.
Okay. Okay, so request is for missing variances. Okay, I have here Andrew Biddy online. Mr. Biddy, are you there?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, board members.
Yeah, thank you. Could you please state your name and address?
It's David Andrew Beatty, and the address is 176 Albertus Avenue, which is the
Thank you.
abutting neighbor. Yeah,
Thank you. We have a request to defer the application. That means when it comes back, you'll be notified. You okay with that?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. The next one is Wendy Orbach and Frank Miller. Any one of you there?
Hello, how are you?
Hi. Yeah, could you please state your name and address?
Wendy Orbach, 83 Albertus Avenue.
Thank you. So you heard what's happening. There's a request for deferral. If we do request it, if we decide to defer it, that means you'll be notified when it's coming back.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Eli Aaron, are you there?
I'm here, yes.
Okay, so could you please repeat your name and address for us?
Yep. Eli Aaron for the Lytton Park residence, 2708 Young Street.
Thank you. So you heard what's happening here. We have a request for deferral. You're okay with that?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, members, we have a request for deferral due to missing variances. Can I have any question? And if there is no question, can I have a motion, please? Mr. Bartolo?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'll put forward a motion to defer this application, sine die, to allow the proper variances to be circulated and get on notice. Thank you.
Thank you. Second? Mr. Klassen, seconding. All in favor? Okay. So unanimously, your application is deferred, sine die, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we go back to the agenda on item number 21, I believe. Okay, number 21. 21, which is a 116 Stradalan, application number 21. And here we have the agent is Drew Laszlo. Are you there?
I am. Good afternoon.
Okay. Hi, Mr. Laszlo. I know we know who you are, but we still need you to repeat your name for the records here and address.
Of course, I'm Drew Laszlo, agent for the owner. The address is 3317 Young Street.
Thank you. So we have here one more speaker, and the application is for a new dwelling, 6 variances, 8 letters of support. Staff report has only a condition to attach to build per site plan, and forestry condition number 1. So, because we have one more speaker, we need you to make a small presentation, please.
Sure. The proposal today is for a new dwelling. We have 6 variances before us today. Numbers 1 and 2, both having to do with the length and depth of the proposed dwelling. The one thing I just want to bring to the committee's attention, yes, the variances are both for 21.72 meters. That is measured to the rear of the excavated deck, which is a relatively common variance these days. The above grade portion of the house is 17.45 meters and plus a 1-story extension. So the bottom line is that between the main front and rear walls of the house, we're only going over the depth and the length by 1.5 feet. Variance number 3 has to do with the FSI, 65% where 35% is permitted. Again, generally accepted, relatively normal for this area. Variances 4 and 5 both have to do with the east and west side yard setbacks. Variance number 4 is the east side yard setback. We are requesting 1.24 meters where 1.5 is required. Variance number 5 is for the west side, requesting 1.22 meters where 1.5 is required. And the final variance number 6 just has to do with a rear deck at the back of the property off the second floor above a rear sort of breakfast bump out that we have. And it's a bit larger than what's permitted. It's permitted to be 4 square meters and we're asking for 8.16 square meters. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a short presentation. Thank you. And we have here online Catherine and Jim Gracie. Are you there?
Yes, we are.
Okay, could you please state your name and address for us?
Catherine and Jim Gracie, 112 STRATHALLAN Boulevard.
Thank you. So tell us what's your concern about this application.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. After reviewing the proposed plans, we have the following points of concern for consideration by the committee. Point 1, the maximum floor space index, as indicated by the plans, is 0.65 times the area of the lot, almost double the maximum floor space index of 0.35 times permitted under the city zoning bylaws. If the intent of the zoning bylaws is to help maintain a consistent pattern of development in a given neighborhood and mitigate massing impacts on adjacent neighbors, how is the requested variance consistent with the intent of the city's bylaws? Point 2, the rear deck. Looking at the proposed plans, there appears to be a variance missing from the application regarding the rear deck. Chapter 10.20.40.50, titled Decks, Platforms, and Amenities of Bylaw 569-2013, states, in the RD zone, a platform such as a deck or balcony with access from the second story or above of a detached house must comply with the following. And subsection B states the maximum area of each platform is 4 square meters. The proposed plans indicate the platform deck is 36.2 square meters, 9 times the permitted size, and yet no variances has been requested for the size of the deck. Point 3, the second story platform over the rear deck. Looking at the proposed plans, there appears to be a variance missing from the application regarding the second story platform over the rear deck. Zoning exception X961 states the lands or portion thereof, as noted below, are subject to the following site-specific provisions, prevailing bylaws, and prevailing sections. Site-specific provision, Part A, reads, despite regulation 10.5.40.61 sub 1, in a front yard or rear yard, a platform with a floor higher than the first floor of the building above established grade may not encroach into the required yard setback. The platform at the second floor level covering the rear deck projects into the required side yard with a setback of only 1.25 meters, whereas the required setback is 1.5 meters, and there's no requested variance included in the application. Point 4, the rear bump out. Looking at the proposed plans, there appears to be a variance missing from the application regarding the rear bump out. Chapter 10.20.40.20 sub 2 of bylaw 569-2013 states this deals with the one-story extension to the building length if required lot frontage is in specified range. In the RD zone, despite regulation 10.20.40.20 sub 1, on a lot with a required lot frontage of more than 12 meters to 18 meters, a detached house may extend beyond the permitted maximum building length by a maximum of 2 meters if the extended part, and sub C says, is at least 3 meters from each side lot line. There's no side variance being requested for the back bump out, and the plan setback, as indicated in the plans, is only 1.83 meters, not the required 3 meters. Point 5, Chapter 10.20.40.70, titled Setbacks of Bylaw 569-2013. Subsection 2 deals with minimum rear yard setback. The required minimum rear yard setback in the RD zone is the greater of 7.5 meters or 25% of the lot depth. The lot depth is 40.84 meters, 25% of which is 10.21 meters. It's not clear from the plans what the rear setback is at the point of the stairs, but it appears to be less than 10.21 meters. And finally, point 6, footings and foundation. Because of the depth of the proposed basement, the footings and foundation wall will extend below the footings of the dwellings on the neighboring properties. We hope that the building department will pay particular attention to the construction of the footings and foundation to ensure no negative impacts on the neighboring properties. In summary, the variances that appear to be missing from the application, specifically the rear deck size variance, the setback variance for the platform over the rear deck, as well as the setback variance for the bump out, are not insignificant variances. The covered deck is elevated and will have an impact similar to a second story, fixed, solid, and permanent, and should be reviewed in accordance with all relevant zoning requirements. Also, given the variance of max floor space index to increase to 0.65 times the lot area, we don't believe that this proposal meets the general intent and purpose of the city's zoning code and our bylaws.
Thank you.
Thank you, committee.
Yeah, you're right on the dots, 5 minutes. You made a good presentation. You should be a planner. But but you're on dots for the 5 minutes. Anyways, any questions for this speaker? So we'll get...
No, but Mr. Chair, I believe Forestry was seeking a deferral on this. I just wanted to point that out.
Who's talking right now?
Natasha Manning.
Oh, I don't have a deferral here. There is no deferral on 21. Forestry, but no deferral. No, there's forestry in condition 1. What did you see that, Ms. Manning?
Point number 4, Urban Forestry requests deferral of the committee adjustment application to fully assess the impacts.
Yeah, when we have a forestry condition, they have to go back to them anyways. We'll see what the members are saying. Yeah, we'll see if the deferral, once we decide on the application. Excuse me. Okay, now we go back to Mr. Laszlo. You don't ask for a deferral, are you? Are you?
That forestry, I don't believe that forestry was requesting a deferral.
No, but it doesn't matter. You're not asking for deferral.
No, absolutely.
No, okay. If the agent is not asking for deferral, we don't entertain it unless the committee decides that they want to do it. Here, all I have here is forestry condition number 1. And let's see, Mr. Laszlo, could you please address the concerns of the Ms. Gracie?
Yes, I will sure do my best. With regards to the FSI, again, a 65% is acceptable as far as the planning department is concerned. And as far as other new dwellings in the area, they typically go as high as about 0.68 or 68%. So I believe we are kind of right where we're in a good place as far as our gross floor area percentage is concerned for this area. As far as the rear deck, the size of our rear deck complies, okay, fully. It because it's less than 4 feet above the grade, it is permitted to be any size as long as it's not more than, I believe, 5% of the lot area, which it's not. So the deck itself complies fully. And the fact that there's a canopy over it, again, that is permitted as of right. So and that's why we do not have any variances associated really with the deck itself. It's only because we're excavating below the deck. That's why we need the length and the depth variances. But again, the size of the deck complies. Let me see, point number 3, the second story deck. Well, we are requesting a variance for that. So we know we're only allowed to be 4 square meters. We're asking for a bit over 8. So, you know, that's what that variance entails. As far as the rear bump out is concerned, a variance isn't missing for the rear bump out. Yes, there is a requirement that it has to be a certain distance from any side property line in order to be considered a permitted projection. But the projection of that rear bump out is kind of encompassed in the length and depth variances. right? So those variances, numbers 1 and 2, those are being measured to the rear of the rear wall of the rear deck, or the rear extent of the deck. And because our bump out is shorter than that, it's kind of encompassed and encased in those variances, both numbers 1 and 2. So again, not missing a variance for the rear bump out. The rear setback does comply. It's on the drawings. We're over, I believe we need to be, plus or minus 10 meters from the rear property line. We're 11 meters. Walkout steps are a permitted encroachment into a rear yard setback. So we fully comply to the rear yard setback requirement. And I believe I covered everything.
Thank you.
So unless the committee has any questions, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
Thank you. Let's see if the members have any question. Any question for this speaker? If not, can I have a motion? Mr. Bartolo?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, in reviewing the plans and listening to the applicant and the other speakers, I understand where the opposition is coming from, but in reviewing this, a good chunk of what's being requested for the variance is below grade or will not have a visual impact or affect anybody above. So I'm going to put forward a motion to approve this application subject to the conditions noted in the urban forestry memo. That's all.
And staff condition?
Correction, Mr. Chair, yeah, and staff condition number 1 in the recommendations section of the February 17th staff report.
Thank you. Second? Mr. Klassen, second. All in favor? Okay, unanimous. Huh? Okay. Mr. Laszlo, your application is approved unanimously based on those conditions, okay?
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Number 22, which is 66 Brookview Drive, application number 22. And here we have agent Sarah Efrah. Ms. Efrah, are you there?
I'm here.
Can you please?
I'm there.
Yes, state please your name and address for us.
Yes, it's Sarah Ifra, 75 Dufflaw Road, 201A, Toronto, M6A 2W4.
Thank you. This application is for new dwelling. We have 9 variances. Staff report condition to build per site plan. Forestry condition number 3. Transportation has no objection, and we have 4 letters of support. Members, do we need the presentation here? No? Okay, we don't need a presentation. Ms. Efra, the members, we don't need the presentation. Do you want to add something before we move to the decision?
No, I was actually going to ask you if you'd like to keep moving, and since we've got all that support and the staff planners don't seem to have an issue with it. So if anyone does have any questions, though, feel free to ask.
Thank you for.
But I think a lot of the variances here are very minor.
Okay, thank you for allowing us to ask questions. I already asked, and they said there's no question. Can I have, please, any motion, please? Anyone? Ms. Tarodi?
To you, Mr. Chair, I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with only one condition of the staff, that the property develops substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing submitted and attachment number 1 to the report, staff report, February 24th, and also subjected to urban forestry and transportation.
Thank you. Second? Mr. Klassen seconding. All in favor? Okay, Mr. Efrah, you have your presentation and your decision. The decision is unanimous and your application is approved.
Thank you very much.
With
Have a great day.
Those conditions. Thank you. You too. Application number 23, which is 163 Times Road, application number 23. And for here we have We have Devon Borst, Joanna Bost, and Craig Roy. Are anyone there? Mr. Devon Borst, Joanna Borst?
Devon and Joanna.
Okay.
Craig Rowe will be our speaker.
Thank you. Can you please state your address as well?
Yes, Devon Borst and Jordana Borst at 163 Times Road.
Thank you. So we have here is a new dwelling, 6 variances. Applicant revised or some. Okay, so I understand from the staff report that you made some revisions. So could you please tell us the revisions you're modifying number 2 and variance number 2 and okay. So tell us please what changes you're making.
Would the chair or the host mind authorizing Craig Rowe to speak?
Okay, who wants to speak?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, can you please state your name again? And your name and your
Yes, sir. Yes, my name is Craig Rowe with Upper Canada Consultants, and our address is 30 Hanover Drive in the city of St. Catharines.
Perfect. Okay, so tell us please what changes are you making?
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll dispense with the presentation in the interest of the committee's time, as we do have a favorable staff report. As noted under variance number 2, upon review of our architectural drawings, city staff was of the opinion that the height of the structure would be more in keeping with the neighborhood if we undertook a reduction of 0.3 meters, which our architect and our client has consented to, and we continue to have no objection to that. So it's a reduction of 1 foot in height. And that is the only change to our application as provided. But overall, it's an application for a renovation of the existing dwelling into a 2-story dwelling to accommodate our client's growing family.
Okay, sir, can you please cooperate with us? We'll give you your 5 minutes talk. Tell us exactly what you're changing. The staff has record the change, and then we'll let you explain everything. What variance you're changing and to what you're changing it to.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Variance number 2 is being changed from a proposed height of 9.6 meters down to 9.3 meters.
Good. Is that the only change?
That is the only change, sir.
So please go ahead and make your presentation.
Yes. Briefly, this is a renovation of the existing dwelling to convert it into a 2-story dwelling. Significant to the application is also a reconfiguration of the driveway, moving it over to Times Road, where it's currently on Riddell Avenue. The relief that we're requesting will help get a more preferable footprint for the home for our client. We feel, based on our planning justification report and our review of the neighborhood, that it is consistent and compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. And those are my comments.
That's it?
Yes, sir. The only other
thank you.
thing that, if I may add, sir, we did note that the forestry division indicated the denial of variance number 6 as their recommendation. And just for the committee's benefit, we would hope that they would look at the detailed architectural drawings and understand that keeping that tree in that location would not allow for the driveway to be moved, and then would require complete redesign of the housing plans.
Yeah, the committee makes condition to the forestry, and we don't go to the details of the trees. Okay, so
Very well.
There is a condition here for forestry, and let's see what the members are saying. Members, any question for this gentleman? He made one change, number 2, changing from 9.6 to 9.30. Any question? Okay, if not, can I have a motion then? Ms. Satarodi?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. I believe this application is a very minor, and I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with one modification on variance number 2 The proposed height of this side exterior main wall facing a side lot line is now 9.3 meters. And then also would like to subject it to urban forestry and transportation memo.
Thank you. Second. Mr. Bartolo, seconding. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, sir, your application is approved unanimously based on the change you made and based on the conditions of the forestry and the staff report.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay. Number 24, which is 280 Sudan Avenue, application number 24. And here we have just one speaker, who is Mike Oliveira. Mike de Oliveira, are you there?
Hi, good evening, panel. My name is
Hi.
Mike de Oliveira. I'm here on behalf of 280 Sudan Avenue, and I'm with Replacement Design located at 911 Davenport Road.
Thank you. So we have here, a expansion of the rear and deck. We have two variances. We have 3 letters of support, but one of the variants goes from 0.6 to 1.28, the FSI. So could you make a small presentation and to justify the increase in the FSI, please?
Certainly. So as you mentioned, we do have 3 letters of support. Most importantly, these are from all of the surrounding neighbors. That includes the one that we're attached to at 278 and the neighbors to the rear and across from us. Upon designing the addition, it was important to us and the homeowners that we limit the increase of the overall footprint of the building. And I believe we achieved this as much as possible here by limiting the addition to the extent of the existing deck. So the changes we're proposing don't really affect the overall landscaping or general footprint of the property by too much. We are building kind of within part of the property that's already hard landscaping. That's why you don't really see any variances related to anything else besides our overall area. The side setback is also keeping with the existing setback of the home. The setback variance relates to the side that abuts a street. So this is a corner lot. So that side variance is also kind of mitigated there because we're continuing with the existing. In terms of the FSI, we're also well within other approvals in the area, such as 444 Sudan that had approval for 1.6. Also 492 Sudan had similar approvals. So although we're asking for an FSI of 1.28, the existing home is already over at 0.86. So any kind of addition we were going to do was going to kind of affect that area and require us to come to committee today. This addition allows for an additional bedroom on the upper floor for this family to grow even further and ensure this is a property they can stay in the long run. Open to any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any question for this gentleman? No? Can I have a motion then? Mr. Klassen?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. After reviewing the application and listening to the applicant, it's clear this is minor. It's in keeping with the 4 tests. I'd like to move to approve this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Second, Ms. Satarodi, all in favor? Okay, unanimous. Thank you. Sir, your application is approved unanimously and there is no conditions.
Thank you very much.
Application number 25, which is 41 Latimer Avenue, application number 25. And here we have just the agent. Oh, you again, Mike de Oliveira. Yeah, just do us favors, just speak slowly. So you were, yeah, you can repeat your address because it's recorded here on the system.
Certainly. Good afternoon once again. My name is Mike De Oliveira. I'm here representing 41 Latimer, and I'm
Okay.
with Replacement Design.
Thank you. So we have here two-story rear addition, two variances minor, 18 letters of support. Members, do we need a presentation here? No? Okay. So, sir, we don't need a presentation. Do you want to add something before we move to the committee for decision?
No, I believe the application can speak for itself.
Okay.
Our clients have done extensive outreach.
Okay.
Our numbers are quite minor.
Okay, thank you. Any question? If not, can I have a motion, please? Mr. Bartolo?
It's through you, Mr. Chair. This is a very straightforward application. I believe it meets the four tests. It's numerically very small, so I'm going to put forward a motion to approve this application as is.
Thank you. Second, Mr. Tarodi, all in favor? Okay, unanimous. Sir, your application again unanimously approved.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too. Okay, number 26, which is 387 Brook Avenue, application number 26. And here we have the owner who wants to speak, and his name is Ron Arigold. Ron Arigold, are you there?
I am.
Okay, we have one more speaker here, and therefore we need you to make a short presentation so we can move on the application. So please make a.
No, I'm the owner of the home, and I have a representative who's going to give the presentation.
Okay, no problem. Whoever wants to present it. Who's there? Who wants to make a presentation?
Stavros there.
Stavros, are you there?
Okay, your name and address, please.
I'm sorry, Ron, we don't have anybody registered as an agent for you. Can you just repeat that name again, and then we'll try that person.
Mr. Gold,
Can
did
you let
hear
us
that?
know? Can you let me know the full name of the agent you want to speak for your application?
I will in a second. His name is Stavros Theodorakopoulos.
Is he there?
Yes, hello. This is Stavros Theodorakopoulos.
Hi. Could you please state your name? How about your address, your own address?
Stavros Theodorakopoulos of 2 Black Court in Aurora, Ontario,
Okay.
representing the owner.
Thank you.
Sorry for the. I
That's
didn't know the owner had right.
That's okay. That's okay. You're here. So we have one more speaker here, and therefore we need you to make a short presentation, please, as to the merit of the application.
So the application is for a rear detached cabana. The variance associated with that is the lot coverage. Now, we have some support letters from neighbors. There's a total of 9 support letters. The owner has spoken to both neighbors to the left and right, a couple to the rear, and several others. And there is no opposition to the proposal. I've looked at a few comparables in the neighborhood, and there has been up to 41% coverage allowed in the neighborhood. 214 Brook, also on St. Germain, 443, and several others. If there's any questions, I'm willing to answer those.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I have the letters here. We have 9 letters of support and just 1 variance. So let's see what.
That's right.
Yeah, let's see what this area resident has to say. Terry Schacht.
Mr. Chair, we've reached out to this resident via email and phone number, and we have not gotten any response.
He's not
back.
there. Okay. All right. So, members, we have just the agent. There is no other speaker. is one variance and 9 letters of support. Any question to this speaker? If not, can I have a motion then, please? Mr. Bartolo?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Given the support and that this variance is not triggering any other variances, I'm going to put forward a motion to approve this application as is.
Thank you. Second, Mr. Klassen, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Unanimously approved, and there is no conditions.
Thank you.
Number 27, which is 101 GLENFOREST Road, application number 27. And here we have the agent, Faisal Qureshi. Are you there?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
It's
can
Faisal
you,
Qureshi, I am the applicant.
your name and your address, please?
It is 101 GlenForest Road, Toronto.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we have here one-story rear addition, basement storage and rear yard deck, 4 variances, minor and just one letter of opposition. So, anyone else there? No. Okay, so we have members, do we need a presentation here? Yeah, okay. So could you please give us a short presentation as to the merit of this application?
Yes, I will. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I will speak to the 4 items listed in the zoning notice dated September 13th, 2021. The variance requested in item 1 that deals with the distance of the proposed deck to the east side lot line is to line up the proposed deck with the existing wall. Item 2 deals with maximum floor space index. This is mostly due to the existing ground floor area. The extension does not change the landscaping in any substantial manner. The house has smaller exterior dimensions and lesser depth than a number of houses on the street. Mr. Chair, with this extension, we are simply trying to make house more amenable for our aging parents. We are also putting a washroom on the ground floor. Even with this extension, the house will have smaller width and shorter depth than a number of other houses on the street. The height of the house is also similar to a number of other houses on the street. Variance requested in item 3 that deals with the distance of the roof eaves from the east side lot line is to prevent potential water damage to walls and foundations. And lastly, variance requested in item 4 that deals with the distance of the proposed extension. The east side lot line is to line up the proposed extension with the existing wall. Mr. Chair, we have discussed these plans with a number of our neighbors and especially with our neighbors on either side of the house. Both neighbors are okay with the plans that are currently in front of you for consideration. We did receive an email of support from our neighbors on the east side, and the email was dated February 21st, and it was a bit too late to submit it for this presentation. We request the committee to look at these plans favorably and to grant the minor variances requested herein. Thank you.
Thank you. Any 27. We don't have anybody else. Any question? Any question for this speaker? No?
I'm just
Yeah.
I'm just curious about variance number 3 and why it's necessary to be so close.
So this is the distance of the roof eaves. This is simply to, I guess, align with the existing walls, east side wall of the house.
Any Any other question? No more question?
Mr. Chair,
Mr.
I'm
Clausen.
ready to make, yes, I'm ready to make a motion.
Motion, okay, so no more questions. So Mr. Clausen, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. These are minor variances that are created by existing conditions. I'd like to move to approve this application.
Thank you. Second? Mr. Bartolo, all in favor? Okay. Opposed? Miss Manning is opposing. Okay, so you, sir, your application is approved and there is no conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, members of the committee.
Okay. Application number 28, which is 268 Melrose Avenue, application number 28. And here we have the agent, which is Stavros Theodorakopoulos. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
This is Stavros Theodorakopoulos of ST Engineering of 2 Black Courts in Aurora, Ontario.
Thank you. Now we have one more speaker here, and therefore we need you to make a small presentation. This is an addition.
I believe that's the owner. I believe that's the owner.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, okay. So we have, before that, we have a 3rd-story addition, 4 variances. Staff report is asking to refuse the application. So even the owner or no owner, we need you to make a presentation. And if the owner,
Okay, so
if the owner wants to speak, he can
the-
speak too. So please make your
Okay, if there's any
presentation.
questions, I can respond. In light of the staff report, I would like to make some changes to the variances. I would like to eliminate variance 1 and 4. And I would like to reduce variance 2 so that it reads the proposed height of the side exterior main walls facing the side lot line is 9.9 meters.
Melrose, okay, just a second. Okay, so you just a little bit ahead of us. You want to eliminate which variance? Number 1?
Eliminate variance 1
And
number 4.
number 1 and 4, yeah. And what you're changing?
I'm modifying variance number 2 to have the main, the side main wall maximum height is 9.9 meters.
Okay, 9.9 instead of 1036. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Now, variance number 3 deals with the floor space index, and we're on a corner lot here. The semi-detached home is on a corner, and the lot is quite a bit shorter than the remaining lots beside us. So that leads to a bit of an exaggerated number for FSI, in my opinion. So, but I think that's still in keeping with what's being done in this neighborhood. Additionally, there are many 3rd floor additions on semi-detached in this neighborhood, some with more massing than what we're proposing. So I think we're keeping in the general intent of the development in this area. And if there's any questions, I'm willing to answer those.
Thank you. So the other person is the owner, you're saying, Mr. Dino Angelakos. Is he the owner?
Yes, that's right.
Does he want to speak? Does he want to add something? You still have minutes. If not, we'll move on to for decision, okay? Mr. Angelakos, are you there?
Oh, sorry, I didn't know how to mute. Yes, I'm here. No, Stavros pretty much said it in on my behalf.
Very
The growing
good.
family.
Okay, so just for the records, could you please state your name and address? Because it has to be recorded on the
yes.
system.
Dino Angelakos, 268 Melrose Avenue.
Thank you. Okay, members, any question based on those changes 1 and 2 is eliminated, and number 2 is changed to 9.9. Any more questions? No? Can I have a motion there, please? Ms. Satarodi?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. With the changes that have been made, I'm satisfied, and therefore I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with the following changes. Variance number 1 and 4 have been eliminated, and variance number 2, the proposed height of the side exterior main wall facing the side lot line is now 9.9 meter, and with no other condition.
Thank you. Second? Mr. Bartolo, all in favor? Okay. Mr. Klassen, I didn't see your hand. Are you okay with it?
No, I'm not.
Okay, opposed, Mr. Klassen? Mr. Klassen is opposing. Okay, Mr. Klassen is opposing, and the application is approved by the rest. So, sir, your application is approved, subject to those changes you made, and there is no other condition.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Application number 29, which is 248 Glengrove Avenue, application number 29. And here we have Lone Rose. Lone Rose, are you
Yes.
there? Okay, you're the only one here. There was another person registered, but apparently they're gone. So you're the only one here. Let me see what we have.
Yes, my client registered by mistake.
Oh, that's okay. So what we have here, we have a new dwelling, 11 variances, staff report to build per site plan, forestry condition number 1, and 3 letters of support. You know what? Give us a small presentation due to the high number of variances. Just give us a small presentation, and then we'll move to committee.
Okay. I'm a neighbor of this house. I've lived on the street for almost 20 years now. We've done several houses that are very comparable in size, in height, length, width. So we have a 0.89 meter set height variance to the flat roof, which is not that high. Maximum length, again, and depth is due to the excavated rear porch, which you've heard of many times today. Our ground floor is a little bit longer than the 17 meters, but planning staff are okay as long as our second floor does not exceed 17 meters. As I said, the house is beside and 3 doors down, which I did also have the same situation. Floor space index of 0.56, which is not very high for the area. Front yard setback, we're asking to sort of move forward and be in line with the other new house. So it's a little bit of a setback. The older house on the other side is further back. We believe that the trend is to move forward. Side yard setback of 0.92, that's only for the garage, and then we step back to 1.2, which is what we have for the other side. Similar to what the existing house is now. Landscape open space, there's a small variance there. And then the platforms, because they're in line with the house, they also require a side yard setback. This front stairs, I never understand why this is an issue, but it is. And then we have the old bylaw, because our slope is less than 2 1/4, 12 on top. You measure, rather than to the midpoint, you measure to the top. But it's just another variance. I can answer any questions. Planning, and we have no problems with planning's condition.
Members, any questions? No? Can I have a motion then? I have two hands. Okay, Ms. Atarodi.
Yes, to you, Mr. Chair, I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with only one staff recommendation that the proposal be developed substantially in accordance to building length and depth as shown on the site plan and drawing attached to this report, and forestry and subjected to forestry.
Thank you. Second? I have 3 seconds. One more time. Mr. Klassen. Mr. Klassen, second. All in favor? Okay, thank you. Mr. Rose.
Thank you very much.
Unanimously approved based on those conditions.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You're welcome. Okay, number 30 was deferred. And number 31 is 157 Randolph Road, application number 31. And here we have just one speaker who's the agent. Ken Tai, are you there?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, committee. I'm Ken Tai from Thai Architect. My address is 12 Rosemount Avenue, Markham.
Thank you. So you said it before I asked you. Thank you. Okay, now this is 1-story rear sunroom addition, 4 variances.
Correct.
Staff report refused variance number 4. So could you please go over the application and tell us what you want to do?
Yes, Mr. Chair and committee. Actually, we agree with the city staff report. I actually convinced my clients to change all the interlocking stone area back into lawn area. So I want to change the number 4 from 9.69% to 44%.
Excuse me, from 9.6 to what?
The in list is 9.69%, and we want to increase back to 44%.
44%, okay.
Yeah.
And what else? Any other change?
That's it. So I just continue my presentation.
And yeah, so please go ahead.
Yeah, I keep it short. So it's a 1-story sunroom, and we're asking slightly larger than the density and the coverage. The soft landscape area, I really want to remove that, but then after all the calculation, because of we're calculating from the existing rear wall and the existing driveway and the existing garage, the rest of the area, once I change back to lawn area, I still need to ask for 44% instead of 50. So we try our best to make everything back into a soft landscape instead of all paving. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Members, we have no other speaker here. Any questions? No? Can I have a motion then? Mr. Bartolo?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Given the significant revision made here, I'm in agreement that 1 through 3 are minor in nature, and I believe number 4 is as well now. So I'm going to put forward a motion to approve this application with the condition that variance number 4, the proposed rear yard landscaping, be changed to 44%.
Thank you. And there is no other condition. Can I have a second, please? Ms. Atarodi, second. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay. Sir, your application is unanimous based on that change you made. Okay?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, committee.
Okay. Number 32, which is 83 Brook Avenue, application number 32. And that is the agent we have here is Tony Murasuti. Are you there?
I am here, thank you.
Okay, can you please repeat your name and your address for us, please?
Yes, it's Tony Morisuti. I'm at 224 Riding Avenue, Unit B, Toronto, Ontario, on behalf of Whaler Jack.
Okay, so this is a two-level rear deck, two variances. Staff report refuse variance number 1, read balcony. 2 letters of objection, 2 letters of support. Council letter supports the staff for refusing number 2. So we have two more speakers here, and we need you to make a very short presentation. And what would you like to change?
No problem. Thank you very much, Mr.
Okay.
Chair. Essentially, there's an existing deck on the property that is had its day, and when replacing it, the owner wished to increase the depth of the lower part of the deck and increase the area of the upper part of the deck. Essentially, the contested variance seems to be surrounded by the size of the second, or rather variance number 2, whereas the maximum permitted area of the platform coming from the second story is 4 square meters. And we are requesting significantly more than that, although I feel still minor, of 43.34 square meters, in essence to match the lower deck. The main thrust of this purpose to have this size is really economics, to make use of columns that will be erected for the lower deck, as well as footings being dug into the ground, and to simply match the structure, if you will, sort of layering one above the other, so as not to incur, in some estimates, 75 to 60% more cost, which the owner is hoping to avoid. Keep in mind, our application did include a detached garage as well, which didn't incur any minor variances, as well as the lower deck that we're planning to increase didn't really appear, based on my reading of some of the letters of opposition, to generate any real opposition. It seems to me that the area of the proposed second level deck, the increase in area is what's in question here. It's really a question of economics, as far as we're concerned, which I understand that the bylaw doesn't really get into. My client, and the reason I took this job, or one of the reasons, is my client, single mother of 1, working her butt off and trying to really, in a sense, reduce the amount of snow she has to shovel, have a covered area for barbecuing and things of that nature. I do understand the overlook concern with the increased area of the second floor deck, and I do sympathize with it. However, I'm sure the members have been to the site. Increasing the width of the deck is actually reducing the overlook because of certain, overhangs on the neighbor's property. So arguably, it's assisting in the overlook to the neighbors, but I can see why it can be argued the other way as well. And it's a big lot. The property itself can certainly handle deck of the side, both aesthetically and sort of technically, when it comes to, if you will, the growing family on the inside of the house is generating a need for additional space on the outside of the house. So, in my opinion, the requested variance, notably number 2, is minor in nature, and as well as it meets the appropriate development for the area, and I do believe it meets the general intent of the bylaw. If the intent is to mitigate overlook concerns, I believe, based on my having visited the site, gone up on a ladder, looked over, stood on the old deck, it quite frankly seems to assist in privacy issues. I believe, having spoken with the owner, they are amenable to the idea of a privacy type, not a wall, but a privacy type lattice or privacy type feature, if you will, on that particular side between 83 and 85 Brook Avenue, if that's something that and essentially, just to wrap up, I want to thank you for your time and considering our application.
Thank you. So you're not changing anything, right?
Currently not seeking to change
No.
anything.
Okay, so we have, we'll get you back after we hear the other speakers. We have here Jody Whitman. Are you there?
Oh, sorry, I'm registered by mistake. I'm the owner.
Oh, you're the owner. Oh, okay. So you agree with the agent. Okay. Okay. Sheila Harrison, are you there? Sheila?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi. Could you please state your name?
Hello.
Could you?
My name is Sheila Harrison Dunlop, and my home residence is 118 Felbrigg Avenue.
Thank you.
I am representing SARA.
Okay, so could you tell us what's the problem with this application?
Okay, as I mentioned, I'm the director on the board of the South Armor Heights Residents Association, known as SARA, and this property is within our area. As you know, SARA actively monitors and responds to, all Committee of Adjustment applications. The 83 Brook application involves major variances for 2 decks, which is very concerning to SARA, as well as the adjacent neighbor. In our opinion, the proposed variances are grossly out of line with the bylaws controlling deck sizes at both the ground and upper level. These bylaws exist to avoid unnecessary adverse impact upon adjacent neighbors. Somehow, many years ago, likely, the 2 decks were built, obviously in excess of whatever bylaws existed at that time. So I'm assuming that they would now be considered as legally non-compliant. Adherence to platform bylaws is a very important issue in our neighborhood, as it is impacting on the enjoyment of the backyards by many adjacent neighbors, especially with the number of second-story balconies that are being requested these days or built at that height. They can be looking over many neighborhoods and many backyards, not just the adjacent backyards. In this situation, because these decks have existed for years, SARA would be willing to accept the 2 decks being replaced, based on existing sizes. But that's not what the owner has chosen to do. Given economics, fine, but there are still bylaws that come into play here. But if we look at the main floor platform, for example, that I think I had a difficult time with some of the measurements, but it looks like that deck is about 31 square meters currently, and they want to increase it, I believe, to some 43 square meters. That is a 40% increase to an already non-compliant size. Rather amazing. Then the upper level platform, which I believe is about 14 square meters today, they want to increase that to 43 square meters. This is 3 times larger than the existing non-compliant deck. 3 times. And if you compare it to the bylaw allowance of 4 square meters, it's 10 times larger. These variance requests are totally out of line to the city bylaws, if the city bylaws mean anything here. The planning staff report recommends that variance number 2 for the 2nd-story platform be outright refused. This recommendation is also supported by Councillor Cole. We were disappointed that planning did not also address the size of the main floor platform to be no larger than the existing, which we think is the 37 square meters, which already far exceeds the bylaw limiting it to a 2.5 meter projection. So now we would support planning's recommendation to refuse variance number 2. And then we would also ask the committee to modify variance 1 such that the size is only permitted equivalent to the existing size, if that's 31 square meters. Thank you very much for hearing our concerns.
Thank you. Any question for this speaker? So we'll get back the agent. Mr. Morasity?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so could you please respond to those concerns before we get to the committee?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, and very, very valid concerns and very, very clear presentation. What I would like to comment is that the variance number 1 is not a variance regarding area, but rather depth of the deck, insofar as we're requesting that to be about 2.375 meters deeper than the bylaw. So the lower deck area is not a variance that's in front of you right now. The upper deck variance, as previously mentioned, I believe is, yes, thank you for putting that image up. I believe is more contestable, and the concerns I agree are valid, and I tried to mitigate that concerns by mentioning something like a privacy lattice. Finally, I did want to mention that we do have letters of support from both adjacent neighbors, or rather the rear adjacent neighbor, not the adjacent neighbor to the west. And with regards to Sarah's concerns, and they don't live next door. I mean, we have letters from immediate adjacent neighbors who are in support. In fact, more letters than there are opposition. So then the question becomes is what point do we disallow this deck to be built based on the association who's opposing it? Arguably, I would again go back to the fact that the increased width of the deck on the second level does increase privacy for both neighbors. And at best, if the existing deck were to be maintained in its position and not be demolished, and only variance 1 be demolished, it's not like there won't be a second level deck there anymore. So I just wanted to point those items out as perhaps reasons to permit the variances as requested. I do believe they're minor, so I'll leave it there, and I do appreciate the time listening to me.
Okay, so we'll see any questions for this agent. And if no questions, then I need the motion, please. Mr. Klassen?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I listened carefully to the applicant and to the Replayer Association, and I read the comments from city staff, from councillor, and from other neighbors. I will go with the staff recommendation to reject variance number 2, but approve variance number 1.
Okay, and there's no conditions. Can I have a second, please? Mr. Could I have second again, please? Okay, Miss Manning. Okay, all in favor? Unanimous. Okay, unanimously approved the approved the variance number 1, and reject number 2 is refused based on the staff report, and the councillor. So number 33, we, this was deferred, I believe. And number 34, which is 293 Churchill Avenue.
Good afternoon.
Hi, number 34, which is 293 Churchill Avenue. And here we have the agent, who's Mehdi Adjavan. Are you there? Mehdi?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, can you please repeat your name and give us the your own address?
Sure. My name is Mehdi Ajband. I'm here as the architect of project and on behalf of my client, the owner of 293 Churchill Avenue.
Thank you. Now we have this here is a new dwelling, 8 variances, staff report, just a condition to build per east and west side drawings per site plan, and also east and west drawings, and we have forestry condition number 3. We don't have any other condition except we have one more speaker, so we'll ask you to make a small presentation before we go to the next speaker.
Okay. It's very straightforward application. We are asking for 8 variants. I just want to explain it so fast. We did communicate with the planner of the case, and we applied some changes before public hearing notice was going out. And the application is a result of this back and forth. The variance number 1 is regarding the rear deck, which we are asking for 2.05 meter or 10 feet for the depth of the deck, while the height of the deck from the ground is 1.57 meter instead of 1.2 meter. Regarding the side yard setback, we are asking for 1.55 meter from the east side, and for the west side, 1.22 meter is just for the 36% of building length, just for the garage area. The whole main floor complies with the required side setback, and most of second floor and basement is complying as well. For the lot coverage, we are asking just for 0.6 extra percentage over there, which is really minor. And actually the variance number 5 is more technical variance. The chimney projected 51 centimeter from the main wall, but since we already applied for the side setback variance, that's interpretation caused this variance, but the chimney is basically complying. Projection from the main wall. For the side exterior, for the wall height of the project, variance number 6, our eaves height is 7.48 meter, which is in compliance with the zoning bylaw. And this number, 9.39, is just for the return of front main wall on both sides, just for the front portion. And we are totally okay with tying the side elevation and also the side plan to the decision to make sure that comply with the intention of design that we have over there. The building height is under old bylaw, and also the finished first floor height is under old bylaw due to the existing grade of street. We don't have this variance first floor height variance under new bylaw. It's just under old bylaw because the street is basically lower than usual in this case. If there is any question, I would be more than happy to address them.
Thank you. Okay. It was a little bit too fast for me, but that's okay. Now we'll bring you back after we hear the other speaker. And here we have Tony Michelli. Tony Michelli, are you there?
Michelli, yeah, it's Tony Michelli from 291 Churchill.
Thank you. Could you please tell us what's your concern about this application?
Yeah, so I want, right, perfect. He went a little bit too fast for me, but I want clarification on the height of the structure. I'm reading 6, 5, and 6. So no, not 5 and 6, 6 and 7, and I'm a little bit confused. I'm reading it as 7.5 is the code, and you're going to 9.39 or 9.36. But then in number 7 it says 8.8. So I need clarification what the ultimate height of the building is going to be.
Okay, keep
And
going.
I'll ask my second question.
Keep going.
And right. So because I have an issue with the height of the building.
Okay. Next, that's it?
That's it. That's it.
Okay. Any question for this speaker? He has a problem with the height of the building. And if there is no question, we'll get back the agent to answer the question. Okay, so Mr. Agent, are you, could you come back and answer those questions?
Sure. If I can show the east side elevation over there, yeah, that's correct. Just for the clarification, the general height of building over there, as I said, the east height is 7.48 meter, and we are asking for this variance, the 9.39, just for that small portion at the front of the house. That's it. And because of this number is not applied for the whole length of building, that's why the planner of the case asked for tying the drawing to the decision to make sure that we comply with this drawing, nothing else, not extending the wall height anymore. Generally, on this side, I can say we are in compliance with this minimum required zoning bylaw, and also we have on the other side we have some return as well.
Okay, so what you're saying is the staff report condition covers that to build per east and west elevation drawings as well as the site plan.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So any question for this gentleman? And if no question, can I have a motion there, please? One at a time. Can I have a hand up? Mr. Klassen. Mr. Klassen, please go ahead.
Actually, I think Ms. Atteroli went just a little bit quicker, so I'll let her.
So you renounce your hand. Okay. Ms. Tharodi, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Through you, Mr. Chair, I would like to put forward a motion to approve this application with one staff condition, which is recommendation that the proposal be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing, east elevation and west elevation drawing submitted to the Committee of Adjustment, attachment number 1, 2, and 3, and also subjected to forestry. That is my motion.
Thank you. Second, Mr. Klassen, all in favor? Okay. I don't see Mr. Bartolo, eh? You don't see Mr. Bartolo, no? Okay, so your application is approved, subject to the staff condition as stated, okay? And forestry. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so number 35.
Mr. Chair,
yeah.
Mr. Chair, I wonder if we could take a short recess, perhaps.
You couldn't have a better time. Thank you. Okay, let's take
you.
what 10 minutes. Is that okay?
Yes, that'd be fine.
10, 15 minutes. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we'll come at 10. Yeah, I needed that too. Come back at 4:10. 4:10, yeah. He couldn't come in a better time. Okay, we're back into session, and we're on application number 35, which is 17 Waring Court, application number 35. And here we have one agent, one speaker who's agent, Ali Shakiri. Mr. Shakiri, are you there?
Ali Shakiri, 326 Shepherd Avenue East. Good
Thank
afternoon.
you. Thank you. You're ahead of me. Okay, so members, we have this application is a new dwelling, 3 variances and nothing else. Do we need a presentation? No? Okay. So who's missing? Okay. I repeat, is a new dwelling with 3 variances, nothing else. Do we need a presentation? No? Okay. Mr. Shakiri, we don't need a presentation. We just go to committee. Do you have anything to say, or you just go ahead?
No, sir. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. So, any question, or can I have a motion there, please? Mr. Klassen?
So, Mr. Chair, I will move to approve this application. It is minor. It does meet all the 4 tests. Thank you.
Thank you. Second? Ms. Manning, all in favor? Okay, sir, your application is unanimously approved. You see, you made a good presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, 35 is gone. 36, we have 36, which is 23 Morewood Crescent, application number 36. And here we have the Ali Tanha. Are you there?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. I'm present.
Could you state your name and address for us, please?
Yes, Ali Tana from Ali Design Inc. Address on file is 59 Record Crescent, East York.
Thank you. We have here is a new dwelling, just for variances and condition of forestry, but I have 2 more residents here, and therefore we need you to make a very small presentation.
Sure. As I mentioned, the application is for building a new detached home. Our variances are basically extra coverage by 2%, which is something very acceptable by the committee and the planning staff as per guideline for increasing coverage. Also, we have the height increase on the sidewalls, but still we are keeping it consistent with the guidelines of the planning. The platform in the backyard is being proposed to have more depth than what the bylaw is allowing. However, with the proposed distance to the property line, which is more than the setback the bylaw is requiring, I feel confident that the extra depth would not cause any privacy matters for the neighbors, as well as we are proposing a privacy wall on that side, on the side that we're closing close to the immediate neighbor to increase privacy on that side. There is another one, the variance for height, but has been discussed many times. It's based on the local older bylaw of 7625, which measures from the center of the road. Still, based on the new bylaw, we are complying to the height, the overall height for the dwelling. There are some comments from forestry, but I feel confident that we can satisfy them later on, as they're mostly regarding the landscaping and the design of the deck, and they would impose most probably redesign of the deck to be the size of the deck to be reduced even furthermore. as well as adjusting the design of the pool or elimination of that, which I've had a quick conversation with my client, and they're totally fine and in agreement with those conditions from forestry. I would be happy to listen to any questions and hopefully address any comments.
Thank you. We'll get to you after we speak to the other speakers. We have here Bernard Sue. Is he online?
Okay. Hi.
Hi. This is Bernard. Hi. What's your name?
My name is Sharon, but my husband is Bernard. I live in 25 Morewood Crescent, is a neighbor.
Okay, and could you tell us what's your problem about this application?
This is the first time I'm attending hearing. So I just have two concerns. One is about the height, the variation 4, I believe, is the permitted height is 8.8 meters, but this proposed building is 9.54 meters. It sounds to me is a lot higher than the permitted height. The second concern is about the pool. I see from the site plan there is a pool very close to the west side, and this pool is not in the variation. So I don't know if there is any bylaws to set like a distance, set the site back from or the size of the pool, and I hope that will comply with the bylaw.
Okay, thank you. So you want them just to confine to the bylaw. Any question for this speaker? No? Okay. Next speaker is Alex Simons. Are you there?
I am, Mr. Chair.
Okay, can you please state your name and address for us?
My name is Alex Simmons. I live at 21 Morewood Crescent, the next door neighbor to the proposed site.
Thank you. And tell us what's your concern about this application.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I would first like to preface my comments by saying that my wife and I are not opposed to a new home being built next door, but rather the variances that have been applied for. I've submitted a series of 7 pictures for your review that will also provide you with a visual point of reference. The submissions for objection to the application for permission to construct a new 2-story single-family dwelling at 23 Morewood Crescent are as follows. While the individual variances sought are described as minor, in their totality, they represent a major departure from bylaw number 569-2013. In particular, in the ways in which they will have a detrimental effect on the property adjacent on the west side, that being my residence, 21 Morewood Crescent, our family home for over 2 decades. The variances, permission for which is being sought by this committee, must be considered along with those aspects of the construction that have apparently already been approved by the planning department without recourse to this committee, including a below-grade double garage and an iceberg or subterranean structure, the purpose of which has not been identified to be built at the garage level. Neither of these aspects of the construction are allowed as a right under bylaw 569-2013 and should properly be made subject of an application to this committee. The existing structure at 23 Morewood is a side split design, the west wall of which is only 1 story high. The west portion of the current structure lies behind or to the south of the east portion of the structure, or flush with the north side of the house. Accordingly, it does not block the sunlight from our front door, which faces east, nor the only 2 windows we have on that side of the house. It also allows us a clear view of Morewood Crescent so that we are able to see who might be approaching our house, more particularly our front door. The proposed structure is not only 2 stories high throughout, but exceeds permitted heights of the side exterior main wall facing our house by 0.44 meters. Building height also exceeds the maximum height permitted by 0.74 meters. The consequence of this very high wall will be to cut off most of the morning sunlight to our front porch, front door, and the only two windows on the east side of our home. The construction plans also propose to bring the west half of the house forward or north to be flush with the east side of the house. The excessively high exterior west wall and extended western half of the house will further create a tunnel effect such that our view of Morewood Crescent will be cut off and we will no longer be able to see who might be approaching, particularly until they are at our front steps. This could create a dangerous situation for us, as well as diminish the amount of sunlight reaching our front porch, front door, living room, basement windows on the east side of our house. Given that no purpose is indicated on the plans submitted for the room located on the northwest corner of the ground floor of the proposed structure, we counter-propose that this room be removed and replaced with an exterior landing or porch, which would allow sunlight to reach our porch, front door, windows, and afford us the view to which we are accustomed. We further respectfully submit that the application to exceed the maximum height of all exterior main walls facing a side lot line and to exceed the maximum building height be totally rejected. The planned rear elevation shows a patio walkout being constructed on a 5-foot platform, as the fence dividing our two properties is presently 6 feet in height. We likewise respectfully request, in order to maintain our privacy, that a barrier/separator be erected on the west portion of the proposed patio. The proposed construction in no way reflects the elevation and lot coverage of other homes on Morewood Crescent. The original houses are quite modest in size and coverage, with large lots that allow for many mature trees that provide needed greenery in Toronto and habitats for birds and other wildlife. The proposed structure will necessitate the removal of such mature trees. Those houses built more recently, while larger than those that they replaced, do not dominate the original structure as the proposed construction will.
Sir, you
It will
exceeded
only
your,
be tall-
sir, you exceeded your 5 minutes and ask you to summarize, please.
I'm just going to summarize that the house next door is going to be taller than other houses on the street, deeper than other houses on the street. The proposed below-grade garage only constitutes a second such garage on Morewood Crescent, with all others being at grade. This feature alone will give the proposed structure an even more dominant presence on the street. And if the variances sought are granted, the proposed structure will set a precedent on the street that all other infills have avoided.
Thank you. We'll see if the safety members have any question. Any question for the speaker here? No? Okay, so we'll get back the agent and he'll answer all your questions. The agent, could you please come back there and address those concerns? Ali Tanha?
Yes. Yeah.
Could you address those concerns?
Yeah, I'm just reading my notes to go one by one. There were some concerns regarding, I think in general, part of the concerns, I understand the concerns, but part of the concerns comes from the notion that we are comparing this house with what already existed on the lot and not what new development in general would be allowed to happen there. And therefore, yeah, there might be a big change compared to the existing, but many of these changes are kind of granted based on the new bylaw and are not something that we need to get a variance for. However, I understand the concern. As when we designed the house, I would like to mention that we try to increase all the setbacks from what the bylaw is allowing as the minimum required. And if you look at the site plan, all the setbacks are being improved based on what the bylaw is allowing. Just us to, for the new building, we're increasing the side yard setbacks, front and rear, just to avoid any adverse effect on the neighboring properties based on the slight increase we are asking for the sidewall height and also the overall height based on the old bylaw. In terms of the that's for the heights. Just wanted to mention for the pool itself is complying with the bylaw and the setbacks, and that's why there is no variance for the pool itself. However, we have some comments from the forestry that are concerned about the location, and we would have to even further move the pool away from the property line or change the or eliminate it fully, that my client is in agreement with. So I would just like to mention to the neighbor that this even it is within the bylaw, but even would be improved furthermore when we deal with forestry comments. In terms of the neighbor on 21, the garage is not underground garage, and that's why we don't have, it's not even allowed to have an underground garage. We are just taking advantage of the natural slope of the land to have that kind of side elevation difference between the main entrance and the garage. And the elevation of the garage is higher than the road. Therefore, the garage is not considered an underground garage. The typical side split design is very typical in Toronto for new developments, and it has become some customary design that new developments are or developers are pursuing. So it's not something that we have come up with originally, but again, as we are increasing the minimum side yard setbacks in hopes to even further reduce any adverse effect on the immediate neighbors on both sides. The platform in the backyard, there's been a misreading in the plans. The theater that I believe is thought to be under the pool or in the backyard, it's not there. It's under the garage in front of the house. So it's not, it's just how we have presented on the basement plan, that level of the theater. So it's not in the backyard, and there's only a rear deck, and the deck itself is only 5 feet from the ground, as the neighbor on 25 mentioned, and it's very common, and relatively it's low because we have situated the house in a way to follow the natural slope of the land as it increases in the back. And as I mentioned in my presentation, we're going to have a privacy wall put in place on the side of that deck. And again, as of the comments we have had from forestry, we would have to reduce the size of that deck, mostly on the east side, which would benefit, I guess, the neighbor on that side, which we're kind of concerned about that area as well. So that would be even further improved as well.
Okay,
in general, I
okay,
feel
we'll
like,
see. Excuse me, we'll
Yeah.
see if the members have any question. You exceeded your time here, okay?
Sure.
We'll see if the members have any question. Any questions for this agent, please? If no question, can I have a motion then? Mr. Klassen?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Thank you. I appreciated being able to listen to the applicant and to the neighbor. And in looking at the plans and driving past the street, this is minor. It is in keeping with the redevelopment that is occurring. So I'm going to move to approve this application and to make it subject to urban forestry.
Forestry. Thank you. Second? Ms. Manning, all in favor? Unanimous. Okay, so sir, your application is approved, subject to forestry.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay. Number 37, which is 216 Erskine Avenue. And here we have the agent only, Saba Al-Matno. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so could you please repeat your name and address for us, please?
Sure. Sabah Al-Matno of QBS Architects, 1670 Bayview Avenue, Toronto.
Thank you. We have a new dwelling, 3 variances, condition number 2. Condition, yeah. Do we have any members? Do we need a presentation here? No. Okay. Yes, Ms. Tarodi?
No, through you, Mr. Chair, I would like just an explanation regarding variance number 2.
Did you hear that?
Yes. Yes, this is not actually a new dwelling. It's an existing dwelling. We are just doing a rear extension to the basement. Originally, they had an above grade wood porch, but since both of my clients are working from home, so they wanted to extend the basement for an home office. Due to the existing grades, the basement is considered the ground floor. Hence, these variances came from, it's technical in nature. So it's because the basement is considered the ground floor, so it's regarding the building length and the FSI as well. And the height of the deck, so there is an existing deck at the moment. We are just demolishing and rebuilding.
Okay. Any other questions?
And there is an existing walkout.
So just to get clarification, so this is not a new construction application. This is an addition or renovation application.
Correct.
And then the variance number, the variance for the FSI 2 and 3 building depth is an existing, and also number 1 means all 3 of them are existing situation.
So what's happening is we are extending the basement only, but because the basement is considered the ground floor, so it's triggered all these variances.
Okay.
Okay, even as an extension is considered as a new one. Okay, so any other question?
The question is true for the city staff. I just wonder if we were changing the purpose of the application, or we just leave it as is.
We can leave it as is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other question? So if not, can I have a motion then, please?
Okay.
Ms. Tarodi?
Yes, I put forward a motion to approve this application, and I also would like to tie it to the site plan.
Okay, and there is forestry as well, huh?
Urban forestry as well, correct.
Thank you. Second? Ms. Manning, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Your application is approved unanimously, okay? Based on
thank you very much.
Condition and the forestry. Application number 38, which is 491 St Clements Avenue. Application number 38. And here we have the agent, who is Ravi Dofodi.
Yes. Yes, I'm here, sir.
Okay, and okay, so could you tell us your name and your address, please?
Sir, I'm architect Ravi Doifode, and then the address for the project is 491 St Clement Avenue.
Okay, and who's Farheen Mareda?
Yeah, she's my project architect for this.
Okay, so you're the one who want to speak, right?
Yes.
Okay, we have one more speaker here, and therefore we need a small presentation. The staff is asking to refuse the application, and we have just one letter of support here. And this is 2 variances to legalize existing rear platform. Could you please give us a small presentation and tell us the merit of this application?
Yeah, sure. My client here, Mr. Samir, they already had the permit to build the rear deck, rear platform, but in the process, they built a little bit bigger size platform on the rear yard. Now the platform is already constructed with a well finished and all that, and especially any neighbor is having any issues with this platform, because my client, they went and talked with the neighbors and all that, and they're supporting this application. Now, more importantly, there are 2 variances we requested. The west side setback is a 0.9 meter requested, and we have 0.48. Then the area for the platform as well is a 4 meter square allowed, and it's oversized. Basically, we agreed that 2733. And third variance, basically, it's not mentioned here, but it was mentioned in the zoning notice dated September 30, which is the rear platform encroachment, which is 2.5 meter allowed, and we are 4.75. So basically, there are 3 variants we are requesting, but again, like the deck is already constructed there, and it's a very difficult for my client to demolish the deck at this time, since he put a lot of efforts and his whole family is getting involved into this one. So this is my just genuine request that they built it accidentally oversized. We do agree that, but at this particular stage, since the structure is already existing, we have very less chances to move. I don't know how to say to demolish it, obviously, or to change the size of it.
Okay.
That's it, sir.
Okay, so we'll hear the other resident, and we'll get you back here. Gary Marr, are you there?
Well, I didn't support it, but I'm leaving it with the city. I'm just here I'm here neutrally to listen to it.
Excuse me.
I'm not going to say I supported the structure. I'm not going
Marr?
to speak out against my neighbor.
Hold a
it's
second.
up to the city to decide.
Sir, are you Gary Marr?
Yeah, I'm Gary Marr.
Okay, could you please state...
I live next door.
Could you please state your name and address? It has to be recorded.
Yeah,
on
I'm
the system.
Gary Marr. I live at 493 St Clements Avenue.
Okay, so tell us what you're concerned about this application.
I just wanted to listen to the hearing.
That's all.
I haven't supported it. I haven't sent a letter either way. I'm here in listen mode.
You just listen.
But I did not indicate support for it, just to be clear.
Very good.
So for somebody to say I supported it, that is not accurate.
Okay, so you just want to listen to this. Okay, all right. So the agents, could you please come back and respond? Well, there is no. You just want to listen to this. So come back here, please, and see if we have any questions for you.
Yeah, I'm here, sir.
Okay, members, any questions for this gentleman? No questions? Okay, then can I have a motion, please? Mr. Klassen?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Obviously, this is a difficult situation as the structure is built, although on the other hand, it shouldn't have been built. So I've been swayed by the staff report to refuse to reject the application.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second? Ms. Sankar, or in favor? Okay, thank you. So your application, sir, is refused. Now we're in number 39, which is 47 Parkview Avenue, application number 39. So we have here Ali Shakiri, the agent, and we have 4 more speakers after that. Mr. Shakiri, could you please come back and again, your name and your address?
Ali Shakiri, 326 Shepherd Avenue East. Good afternoon again.
Yeah, good afternoon. Okay, we have here, this is new dwelling, 5 variances. Staff report asking to revise variance number 1, and there is 1 letter of objection. So could you please cover that and see what you want to change the variance to?
Yes, sir. We wish to change the coverage as suggested by the staff, bringing it down from 32.5% into 32%. And other than that, I believe it's a very clear application. I don't have any presentation other than that, but I'd be happy to answer any question. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll hear the other speakers, and then we'll get you back to answer any problem that arises from there. So we have here 1 area residence, which is Jillian Svensson. Is that Svensson or Stevenson? Svensson.
Mr. Chair, we did have a Svensson by last name, but it appears that they have logged off. So
Okay.
let's move to the next name.
Okay, so
And then maybe we'll come back to it at the end.
if they come back, let us know, please.
Yes.
Okay, Suzanne Medema.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I can tell you that the Svenssons are online, so hopefully you can find them because I know they do want to
Okay,
speak.
okay, don't worry. Now we're in your case. Are you Suzanne?
Yeah, Sue-Ann DeBoer Miedema, 52 Parkview Avenue.
Okay, so please tell us what your concern is, and we'll go back to the other ones. What's your concern?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, thank you for allowing me to express my concerns. This is a neighborhood of modest and well-maintained older homes, and I do have photos, but I'm sorry, this is my first hearing, and I don't know how to share them, but I think you can sort of picture what sort of block we live on. But it's an older Toronto streetscape, and a house of this size and height is going to look out of place. It would also set a precedent undesired by the neighborhood for future developers that might see opportunities to push the bylaw rules. So the city has already expressed concerns about the lot coverage and size of the house, and I think the developer has already addressed that, so I won't spend any time there. But what I will focus on is the height of the home. So the side wall is requested to be 1.4 meters higher than the bylaw allows, which is 19% higher. And the front is 27% higher than the bylaw allows. So both of these requests I find excessive and unnecessary for a large house to be built on this lot. Aside from the sheer size of the home, the height of it will tower over every other house in the neighborhood, because basically this is a 3-story house in a 2-story house neighborhood. And the developer will likely make the same argument that the height is only for a portion of the front of the house, but that's precisely the dimension that will make the house look out of place on this block. And I do realize it's out of the scope of this hearing, but another false claim on the application is that the property is not subject to the private tree bylaw. And there's a very large black walnut tree on the property, which is one of the largest and oldest trees in the neighborhood. And the developer does not have authorization to remove the tree, and they do not need to remove it to build a large home. They've already put tree projection zones around some of the trees, but it's clear they are not intending to save that tree. So those are my comments, and thank you again for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Okay, let's see if the members have any question. Any question for the speaker? No? Okay, we have the next speaker is Yuan G. Lee. Are you there?
Oh, I am here. My name is Hyunji Lee.
Okay, could you please tell us your address?
I reside at 42 Kingsell Avenue.
Okay, and tell us what's your concern about this application.
I do not have any specific concern. I am residing across the street through the backyard of this this unit that we are discussing. So I just wanted to participate and see what are going to be the impact to our house. So I don't have any
I'm
specific
sorry,
concern. I just wanted
you're
to
breaking
participate.
there and we don't understand what you're saying because you're breaking. You said you're not here, you have no concern. So why are you registered here? What would you like to do?
Sorry, can you hear me better?
Yeah, now it's better. Please go ahead.
I just wanted to participate to understand what is going to be the impact to our house. I want to just participate. I do not have any concern that I want to raise. Thank you.
Thank you. Any question? Okay, so Juan G. Lee. Oh, that's the one, yeah, because I have another mock Juan Ann. I guess they're the same thing. Okay, Stephen Price, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay,
Stephen Price.
please state your name, yeah?
I'm at Stephen Price.
Yes.
Stephen with a V. Price. I'm at 48 Parkview Avenue, across the street from the house in question.
Thank you.
And thank you for the opportunity to express. Some of my points have been made, so I can be quite brief. I share the height and footprint concerns of the staff and other speakers. The number and sheer size of the large homes in our neighborhood is extraordinary. I live in a modest home across the street, which is an original home built by the Cummer family when many decades ago. And the contrast is quite striking, and the proposal is out of line with the lower streetscape that we have in this section of older Willowdale. I'd like to speak to the fact that the largest tree on the property, a black walnut, does not seem to be protected by a tree protection fence. This tree is nearly 1 meter in diameter and towers over the homes in the area and predates virtually all of them. It's been the mother tree for other walnuts planted for free by nature, something we do at expensive cost to the taxpayer otherwise. The trees are battling climate change, they're providing shade, they're boosting quality of life and adding financial value to the homes. I think committee understands that, and therefore I would urge the city to require this tree to be protected.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. We do not deal with the trees in this committee. Anything about the trees, they have to deal with the forestry. They decide which tree should be removed, if it should be removed, or they can't build until they take it. So here we don't deal with that one. So anything, they have to deal with the forestry. Okay? Are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, so if there is a question of the tree, they'll have to deal. They're not allowed to remove a tree unless they check with the forestry department.
Yeah.
Urban forestry.
I did hear you with other ones say subject to forestry, so I was looking for that kind of condition.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they put it here, sometimes they don't, but they can't check, they can't touch the tree unless they check with the forestry. So okay, so if you're finished, I'll ask the members if there's any question. Okay, now I understand the Jillian, who wasn't here before, Stevenson, she's here. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair, she was here on the call, but as soon as this item came up, she's no longer on the call.
She left again. Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Ali Shakiri, can you please come back and address those concerns?
Sir, yes, sir. With regards to the size of this home, I'm sure you see many of the similar type applications in the Willowdale area on every hearing, and we are not basically asking for too much here, I would say. The coverage, as I mentioned, we accepted the comment from the planning department and reduced it to 32%, which is quite modest and is very, very acceptable in the neighborhood in the past. With regards to the height, I wish to ask the staff to display my support material. the height variance that we're asking is only for that small portion of the side wall, nothing related to the front of the house, nothing related to the total height of the house. And it's only for that small return on either side. Basically, that's where we find it like pleasing articulation of the front facade of this house. And that's architectural feature. We find it very, very minimal. This house is complying with the bylaw, with both bylaw with regard to the overall height of the building, which is very rare in this neighborhood. Almost every application, including my other application, somehow request a minor variance for the height, but we have managed to comply with the building height under the both bylaws, and this is truly a minor thing for an architectural feature. We find it appropriate. We hope that you do so too. With regards to the tree, also you mentioned that this is not a concern of the committee, but there is an application for the forestry to get a permit and clearance. The tree that the neighbors are mentioning is in conflict with as of right construction. We have the consent of the forestry department. I have submitted the supporting material that they are fine with removal of the tree if there is a building permit request for that, and I have submitted that request. As for the other trees in on the lot, they are professionally hoarded, and we're waiting for a permit from the forestry department. Other than that, I have nothing else to mention, and I'd be more than happy to answer any question. Thank you.
Thank you. So as far as the trees, you're right, we don't deal with them here, but you cannot remove one without checking with the forestry, is that correct?
That's correct, but an application is made by a certified arborist. I have submitted the supporting material and correspondence about that, and they are basically waiting for the permit stage to issue that permit.
All right. Because,
for the committee of adjustment.
Okay, because Mr. Price was concerned about that. Now, as far as your application, you're changing only variance number 1 from 32.5% to 32%. That's correct?
Yes, that's right. And once again, I wish to mention that the tree under discussion is in direct conflict with as of right construction. So basically, even if there was no application, that tree falls under the prescribed the footprint of the building, and that would be removed. And forestry usually agrees with that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for this agent? If no questions, can I have a motion then, please? Mr. Klassen?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I listened carefully to the applicant and the neighbors, and I drove by this address, so I do see that it is an area that's under transition and has been for some time. And that's always a difficult circumstance. But given the application, given the change that the applicant has made to conform to the city staff report, I'm going to move to approve the application. It is minor, and with the change that variance number 1 is changed to 32%. Thank you.
Thank you. Second? Mr. Tarodi, all in favor?
I would just want to add the condition of forestry.
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. Generally, the forestry indicate which one they do, but the committee is allowed to put the subject to forestry. Is up to Mr. Klassen. Would you like to add the forestry their condition?
Mr. Chairman, if there's no memo from forestry, we should not be putting anything with forestry.
Yeah. Is
there a memo from forestry?
No.
Because forestry's looked at it, they had no concerns.
Yeah.
So putting a condition from forestry, they would not look at it.
That's right. Yeah. Apparently there is application for it, and the forestry did not mention it on the list. So Mr. Klassen's motion stays, and I had it seconded by Ms. Atarodi, yeah? And all in favor? Okay, so sir, Mr. Shakiri, your application is approved, subject to the change that you made to number 1 from 32.5% to 32%.
Thank you very much.
Application number 40, which is 321 Laird Drive, application number 40. And here we have, it said here did not register. Is Mr. Hamza Bagheri there?
Yes, yeah. Hello, Mr. Chair and staff. Yes, I am.
Okay, could you please just state your name and address for us?
Yes, my name is Hamza Bagheri. I'm the applicant of project located at 321 Laird Drive.
Okay, we have here an addition and second story to existing dwelling. 4 variances minor.
Yes.
There is nothing, absolutely nothing. Members, do we need a presentation here? No? Okay, Mr. Bagheri, we don't need a presentation. Do you want to say something before we move to committee?
No, I'm good actually. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Any question? If not, can I have a motion, please? Ms. Tarodi?
Actually, I was second. I think.
Oh, I didn't see. Who's
It's okay. I was just gonna.
Who's making the motion? Okay, Miss Manning, your motion to approve, yeah?
To approve with no conditions, yeah.
Thank you. Second, Ms. Atarodi, all in favor? Okay, unanimously approved, and your application is approved, and there is no conditions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Okay, so we have variant application number 41, and that is Walder Avenue, application number 41. And here we have Sarah Barclay. Are you there?
Yes, good afternoon.
Okay, hi. We have this here, 41. We have a new dwelling, 6 variances, and revised since July. Yeah, this formerly you had before July they were, and that was revised, and now we have 6 variances. Staff report, just a condition, and transportation, no objection. That's from report of August, and the 3 letters of objection.
Alexander, I'm on a call.
And 1 letter of support. Sorry? Okay, so Mr. Barclay, can you please give us, because we have 1 more speaker here, could you give us a presentation, please?
Yes, of course. So Sarah Barclay from Urban Design Group. The address is 18 Gloucester Lane, Toronto. So we are proposing here a new 2-story dwelling on this property. The site is fairly unique in that it is a pie-shaped lot within a court, and it backs onto the cemetery. So we did come to committee back in August, and we deferred our application to allow for some time to address concerns from planning, transportation, and the neighbors. Our clients have reached out to the neighbors in the court and have spoken with many of them. The neighbor next door at 75 Walder has since submitted a letter of support for the application. So we have revised the design to eliminate several variances and reduce a few variances. We have discussed these changes with planning, and they are in support of the application, provided we are tied to the site plan and side elevation, which we feel is acceptable. So you will see in front of you the supporting documents which are highlighting the variances that we are requesting. So since we're dealing with a pie shape, we're proposing a house that is narrow on the front and widens towards the rear. The shape does restrict the square footage, so we're requesting a small length variance to capture some of that additional square footage. The coverage is compliant with the bylaw, and the rear yard setback is only required at the pinch point of the northwest corner of the house that is highlighted on the site plan. If you could go to the next slide. The variances related to building height are taken to the front portion of the house where the flat roof is. So that's the highlighted portion in the center of the house. So the owners very much wanted to do a modern design. So the wall height is taken to this highest point, even though it's not a reflection of the wall height around the rest of the building. The house does have a sloped roof that is compliant with the overall height restriction. There are many homes in the area that have been approved at heights with a wall height of 9.5 meters.
48 Rochester, yeah, I know, I changed it.
So in summary, we feel as though we've made efforts in making revisions to this application to address concerns from neighbors, and we've eliminated the concerns from planning and transportation. The variances are minor in nature and reflect the difficulties of the irregular nature of the lot, as well as the modern design of the front elevation. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll get you back after we hear the other speaker. We have an age, like the area resident, Saman and David Allman. Are you there?
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Okay, can you please tell us your address and your full name?
Yes, my name is Saman Ullman. My husband, David Ullman, couldn't be here because it went after 5 and he has a work commitment. We live at 80 Walder Avenue, which is on the western side of the property.
And tell us what's your concern about this application here.
So yes, thank you for the opportunity to do that. And I thank the applicant because they did just yesterday have their architect who's on the line today reach out to us to explain some of these variances. But our concerns still remain that these variances requested with respect primarily to the height of the exterior main walls and also the overall height of the building are excessive and not in keeping with the other homes on this cul-de-sac. This is a cul-de-sac of 10 homes and as you've just heard, irregular shaped lots. And what's very unique about our circle is that 77 Walder, which you're considering today, and 80 Walder, our home, all are adjacent to a cemetery, Mount Hope Cemetery, which is just on the northern side of our lots. And any height would also impact that cemetery and people who visit the cemetery, their graves just on the other side. But so I have some privacy concerns, but going back to what our primary concerns are, it's about the height of the building. And I've heard other neighbor residents today express that concern. So I know that you know that well, but for our family in particular, and in this neighborhood, and given the cemetery behind, it's really a significant privacy issue for us, particularly as one of the other variances sought is to increase the size of the rear balcony on the second story. So the building is going to be larger than what's consistent with the bylaws and the neighboring homes, and then they are proposing to put a second story platform that's also larger, which will certainly provide views of our backyards and the other backyard. And also we'll certainly look into the cemetery and the mourners there and the ceremonies that are occurring there. So I do have a concern about the privacy. If the committee is to grant the application, then I would seriously ask for privacy screens to be included as a condition on that second story platform. And anything else that the developer or the applicant could do to mitigate our privacy issues. As you know, I don't need to tell you, the applicant has to maintain a consistent pattern of development, and sorry about that. And I don't believe it's consistent with the more modest homes that are in this cul-de-sac. So really the main focus of our concerns is the height. In the prior application that was brought, they were seeking to build a 3-story building. So as you heard the applicant's agent say, they have made adjustments. So they adjusted it down from 3 stories to 2, which the city had objected to. But despite reducing to 2 stories, the original height sought for the building was 10.73 meters, and now they're seeking 10.33. So really just half a meter difference, despite the fact that they've gone from 3 to 2 stories. And similarly, the height of the exterior main walls isn't greatly impacted by going from 3 to 2 stories. So our concern remains that this is really a 3-story house disguised as a 2-story house, because they haven't really made any substantial changes, rather than saying that they no longer have 3 stories, but the overall height of the building and the walls remains consistent with their earlier proposal. So I know that I have limited time, so I wanted to really focus my comments on privacy concern, and hopefully privacy screens can be considered as you're considering this.
Okay, thank you. And see if there's any question, but we'll get back the agent to respond. Any question for
So
this?
I have a
yeah, we have a question.
I have a question
Yeah.
for the neighbors. Are you located on the west side of your property? You're number 80?
That's right. We're number 80, just on the west side.
Okay, I'm looking at the site plan, and I was carefully listening to your comment, and regarding the privacy screen that you suggested, where are you suggesting that privacy screen to be?
That's if you approve the variance, that's variance number 3, the 2nd-story platform. I would want the privacy screen to be attached to the 2nd-story platform, and because that's the one where they would, the way our lots are situated, especially with the exceptional height of this building, there'll certainly be an ability to look over into our lot. Currently, we can't see any of our neighbors' lots because of the more modest size of our homes and the way they're situated. And I think that was a purposeful decision of the previous builders in this area, because to be respectful of the cemetery behind my home, for example, even on the 2nd story, I can't look into the cemetery. But certainly this new build at 77 Walder, that 2nd-story platform and the 2nd story will look over into the cemetery.
Are you referring to the balcony in front of the bedroom on the south side of the building, or are you referring on the northeast side, the master bedroom balcony?
I think it's the master bedroom. It's in
the master bedroom is looking at the north. I mean, it won't have any overlook to your property. You're mostly on the west side of the property.
Yeah.
So, and then there are 2 balconies. As far as I'm looking at the floor plan, 2nd floor, one of them is in the master bedroom, which is on the northeast corner of the property. That's one balcony, and there is another one. It's on the southwest side of the property, which is right next to the other bedroom. So I just would like to know which one are you referring to?
I'm so sorry. The southwest is something that I haven't considered, and I'd love to look at the plan again. But the privacy screen idea was presented to me as an option by Sarah Barkley, who is the agent for the applicant, as a concession. So I hadn't previously considered it, but when I raised with her this concern, they suggested it and said that that could be an option. So, and we did talk about the fact that from the balconies, there will be limited view of our backyard, but still there'll be some. And given that we've enjoyed significant privacy, and to be respectful of our other neighbors, it would be appropriate.
So another comment, the balcony that I'm referring to on the southwest corner, it actually doesn't look at your backyard. It mostly look at the corner
front
of your property at the front.
Yes.
And the other one, which is a master bedroom, is completely looking toward east. I mean, maybe the neighbor on the other side, on the east side, might be affected, but I don't see any. Well, I'll ask the agent to provide explanation. That would be great. So I want to ask you about your concern to see which one are you really referring
It's both, really. So thank you for asking for that clarification. And because it's a pie-shaped lot, it'll overlook part of it, and it's also the height.
Mr. Chairman, I think we've heard the concerns now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I want to let her finish the talk. Could you please summarize?
No, I
what you said?
appreciate that.
Yeah.
We're after 5 o'clock, so I'll let you move on. But it's the privacy issue combined with the height, which is nearly 2 meters over what the bylaws allow. So I'll let the applicant's agent respond, and we can move on from that point.
Yeah,
Thank you.
They will respond. Yeah, the reason she was asking because the agent made the proposition to put a screen, and she wasn't sure where it's going to be put. So, any other question? All right. So, Sarah Berkeley, could you please come back and respond to those concerns?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. So just to touch on the question about the 3-story variant. So that was triggered the first time that we came to committee of adjustment. It was simply because we had a small garbage area within the garage that they were considering as the main floor. So that was a technicality that triggered that variance, which we have eliminated from the plans. This is a 2-story house within the bylaw. The main floor of the house is 4 feet off the established grade. So we're not trying to propose a 3-story building here. So when it comes to the height, I will just reiterate that in this case, the wall height is restricted to the front portion of the home. We are happy to tie the approval to the side elevation to ensure that the roof remains sloped as it is in the proposed design. And we discussed this matter with planning, and they do feel that this design is acceptable within the context of the streetscape. The height also identified under old bylaw is taken to this portion. And I will note that the crown of road in this on this property is 0.85 meters below the established grade, which is resulting in an inflated number. And then just to address the concerns about privacy. So we did have a discussion about this yesterday. So I do understand the concern of overlook into the rear yard. As you mentioned, there would be very limited view from this balcony across the backyard and into the far corner. But we are happy to provide a privacy screen if that will ease the concern of the neighbor.
That's it?
I think that was everything.
Okay, thank you. Any question for this speaker, for the agent? Yes, Ms. Satarodi?
Yes, again, to you, Mr. Chair. Again, the question is for the agent. We would like to know which balcony you arranged to put the privacy screen. Can you identify them?
So the balcony that we had discussed was the one in the rear off of the master bedroom.
Got it?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? Okay, if not, can I have a motion there, please? Mr. Klassen?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you to the applicant and the neighbor for helping me to understand the situation. So on balance, given the number of revisions that have been made in the past to the proposal, and given that it's acceptable to city staff, I'm going to move to approve the application and make it subject to the 2 recommendations in the staff report in regard to the yard setback and a side main wall. And I'm not going to include any privacy screens in my motion, but obviously I'm open if other members would like to propose an amendment.
So
Thank you.
thank you. Your motion is to approve subject to the staff conditions and no other conditions related to any screen. Do I have a motion?
Exactly.
Do I have a second for the motion as it stands? Yes, Ms. Manning? Second? Okay, all in favor? Unanimous. Okay, so Ms. Barclay, your application is unanimously approved, subject to only those conditions of the staff to develop her site plan and so on. So that's all. There is no other conditions.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, now on number 42, which is 48 Rochester Avenue, application number 42. And this we have here the agent, Rick Mateljan, and I guess the owners, Stuart Edmund and Lay Lai. So could you please, who wants to speak on this application?
My name is Rick Intelligent. I'm the agent, and
You're the
I will
agent.
speak first.
You'll be speaking. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And when you say I'm first, are you expecting somebody else to speak? Because
Oh, if the owners wish to speak, they would speak second. I don't know if they wish to speak or not.
yeah, we have okay. We have 5 minutes allocated, so please make your presentation.
Mr. Chair, either the agent or the owners will speak, not both.
He's the agent, and the owners are present there, but he's the agent, right?
Mr. Chair, just to clarify things, the owners are not present on the call, so we'll
not.
just have the agent speak.
Okay, just the agent. So, Mr. Majman, the owners, they are not online. So please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to begin by giving the committee some background to this project and take you through the changes that we've made to the design. The committee will be aware that this was before you last year. There was some concern from the community. We asked for and we received a deferral to allow us to meet with members of the community, with representatives of the Lawrence Park Residents Association, and with the planning staff. These decisions did take place both in person and through email. And what we're presenting today are the result of those discussions. The most significant change that was made was in the architectural style of the building. It was changed from something rather contemporary to something much more traditional in character. The community gave us a lot of feedback that they believed that a more traditional design would be more sympathetic to the streetscape. Our clients accepted that suggestion. And this change of design allowed us to eliminate several of the minor variances that we had previously proposed. We are left then with effectively 3 variances, although because of the duplication of the new and old bylaws, there are technically 4. And I'll take you through those variances. The first variance is in regards to building height. Let me explain this. We are asking for a variance of 10.44 meters against a maximum of 10 meters, but only in terms of the old bylaw. And the old bylaw in this case, I know there has been discussion at the meeting about the old North York bylaw. In this particular case, this lot was in fact regulated by the old City of Toronto bylaw. And the old City of Toronto bylaw, how it measured height was it measured it along the side wall, and it took the average of the grades along the lowest of the side walls. And lots that drop off toward the backyard, as this one does, are disadvantaged by that measurement. And so while the height is fully compliant with the new bylaw, it's not compliant with the old bylaw. And so our application then is somewhat, our application for height is somewhat technical in nature, because as I say, it's really affecting the old bylaw only and affecting that calculation, which once the old bylaw is no longer in effect, which will happen shortly, it effectively will not be an issue. But I repeat that the height is fully compliant with the new bylaw. The second variance is in regard to the westerly side yard setback. We're proposing a side yard setback of 1.22 meters against a bylaw requirement of 1.5 meters. The reason for that is just to give us a little bit more room at the garage, and also to create an architectural feature of the garage. The area that's affected by that reduction in side yard setback is only the depth of the garage, and is a one-story high wall. So the variance request does not impact the majority of the house, does not impact the upper walls of the house, and is really only for that one portion of the side wall on the west side, which is the garage. The third variance is in regards to gross floor area or floor space index. This is something which of course the committee hears many times, including at this meeting. We're proposing an FSI of 0.58, which is something which is more than the bylaw maximum of 35 or 0.35. But the committee has heard many times at this meeting that in fact these numbers or the numbers in that range are something which is quite often allowed by the committee. It's becoming very, very typical. I will point out that through the course of this, we had, as I say, had discussions with the members of the community. We had discussions with planning staff. We understand that planning staff have no concerns with this application. I know there are some members of the public that will want to speak to you, but we understand that planning staff have no concerns, and we have not heard of any concerns that have been expressed by the Lawrence Park Residents Association. So that would conclude my presentation. I would, of course, be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, but before we go to the other ones, I would like you to please explain. Variance number 4, it says 0.35 and you're asking 0.58. This is a GFA, is that correct? Gross floor area.
Yes, this is.
How about?
This is GFA or FSI, yes.
Well,
This is
no,
GFA.
GFA is different from FSI. You have number 1, FSI 0.35 to 58. Is that a duplication, or what you say? You mentioned that the GFA you asked for, the FSI you asked for 1 point something?
They're expressed differently because of the new and the old bylaw. So the first variance request is under the new bylaw, and we're asking for an FSI of 0.58, and so that's variance 1. And variance 4 is under the old bylaw,
which is
it's effectively the same variance, but it's calling it a GFA.
GFA, and they happen to be at the same numbers. Is that funny?
They're exactly the same number. It's the same variance, but two different bylaws.
Okay, thank you. So this was changed from 7 variances to 4. Okay, so we'll get you back after we hear. We have a lot of speakers here. We'll get you back.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, can I ask also another question regarding the variance?
Okay. Yeah.
So I would like to also ask if the applicant have a height variance under the old bylaw, variance number 3, does he comply with the new bylaw?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Okay, so we'll get him back after we hear the other ones. We have a good number of speakers here. Peter Osborne, are you there?
Mr. Chair, we've reached out to Peter and we can't get him onto it. We've emailed him and we've called him.
He's not, okay. All right, how about Brian and Nicole Swales, are you there?
I'm here, Mr. Chairman, yes.
Okay, can you please state your name and address for us?
Yes, Brian and Nicole Swales. Brian is speaking.
Thank you.
And 40 Rochester Avenue.
Thank you. And tell us what's your concern about this application.
Yeah, so this is our second time through this process with the applicant and their agents. The primary feedback from the neighbors related to just development and oversized development in the neighborhood. And so the 0.58 is excessive in our view and the view of many of the neighbors, as stated in this letter of objection, as well as prior letters of objection. And we talk a lot of numbers, but is it possible to just share with you two visuals? I don't know if I can share that document or a member of staff could share it. I don't know, they all here. So just what's happening in the neighborhood on development is whether it's client driven or builder and development is 0.58 and or greater, as exhibit on the left-hand side are dwarfing homes that have been renovated, that were renovated in the last 10 years within the bylaws, approved and supported by neighbors, and generally fit into the landscape of the street. So essentially, new development is forcing people that have renovated historically within more reasonable GFA numbers, call it 45, less than 50. Essentially, lots are now land value, and these are now tear downs, even though they're beautiful Lawrence Park homes, 4 and 5 bedroom, all within good taste and the taste of the neighborhood and supported by the neighbors. If we go to Exhibit B, another example of a home built probably about 7 or 8 years ago, closer to that 0.58, 59, relative to a traditional Lawrence Park home at the 0.5 level, renovated, just sold, beautiful 5-bedroom Lawrence Park home, and essentially is now a tear down and lot value only. So the Committee of Adjustments and the development within the neighborhood is putting neighbors at odds in terms of what is reasonable, what is in keeping with the neighborhood, and essentially leaving previously renovated homes in good taste and standing, essentially left at lot value. So it's our view that this is not a minor variance. The development at north of 0.55 is egregious. This is at 65% greater than the bylaw. It's not desirable if you just look at the contrast between a new build home relative to a traditional Lawrence Park home in the neighborhood. So from our perspective, we think only one of the 4 tests is being met. And so we've got reservations about the type of development and the extent of development, specifically around the 0.58. I could speak to the side yard setback, but I'll allow and defer that to another neighbor based on time. Thank you for your time and for hearing our concerns.
Thank you. Any question for the speaker? Okay, so we have the next one. The next one is Chris Fiocco. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Could you please state your name and address for us?
Sure. My name is Chris Fiocco. I live at 52 Rochester, which is the home directly east of the subject property.
Thank you. So tell us, please, what's your concern about this application?
Certainly. Well, good afternoon, Mr. Chair, member of the committee. My name is Chris Fiocco. My wife and I, as I stated earlier, are the homeowners at 52 Rochester, directly east. We appreciate this opportunity to make our views known. Earlier in the process, we submitted our letter of objection, and in it, we cited 3 areas of concern that we have with the proposed build at 48 Rochester. First is surface water management, both during and after the construction, the east property line setback, and variance 3, the proposal to take the building height beyond the bylaw limit. So first, I'll talk to the surface water issue. Prior to 2014, both number 48 and 52 Rochester, we both dealt with downspout and surface water issues along our shared property line. Most significantly, in the corner of my backyard, right up against my west and north basement foundation walls. Depending on how far and down the yard, my yard sits about 1 to 2 meters below the grade of number 48. And the natural slope of 48 is from the west to the east and the south to the north, which results in water from 48 heading into my yard and pooling against our foundations. You can see that clearly in the submitted plans on figures A3.2 and A3.3 at the proposed drawings. So in 2014, working with the applicant and sharing in the expense with them, we embarked on a joint project to fix the situation, bringing in a landscape contractor who regraded both our properties, a set of retaining walls, many truckloads of drainage gravel, meters of underground drainage piping, etc. And those fixes were successful in solving the water surface problems, moving the water well back into both of our yards and away from both of our homes. So our concern is that during the construction, much or all of that water management system is going to be removed or destroyed as the hole for the new foundation is dug. So my wife and I are require that temporary measures are put in place during construction to ensure that the water does not come back. But more importantly, following the construction, we require that the landscaping plans at 48 factor into their design these water runoff issues, and that my downspouts get connected back into whatever system is put back into place, returning both of our yards back to the pre-construction state. And so our request is that these above requirements be put into the committee's decision as a condition should the application be approved. Secondly, in regards to the east property line setback, so in reviewing the plans, we see that there's a window well that's to protrude 0.75 meters out from the side of the home into the 1.5 meter setback. And this window well will be adjacent to the primary interlock walkway that we use to get into our backyard. And so we're concerned about damage done to that walkway during construction and post-construction, that there won't be enough foundational soil left to provide a stable base for the walkway. So we ask that if the plans are approved, that they're amended such that this lower grade bathroom window be removed, eliminating the need for the window well adjacent to the walkway, or if the committee should decide that the window would be included, that a condition is imposed ensuring that measures are taken to protect the walkway. And lastly, on variance number 3, the building height. The bylaw is clear. Maximum allowing building height is 10 meters. The proposed building height is 10.44. We have concerns about any variances in that regard as it relates to sunlight, given that we are east of the property and we don't want our backyard compromised by reduced amounts of afternoon or evening sun, or any damage done to the trees and plants we've put in the yard that have grown into that sunlight. So for those reasons, we ask that you do not approve requested variance number 3. So thank you for allowing me to bring forward comments on this application. I can take any questions you have.
Thank you. I generally don't like to interrupt people when they speak, but as far as the grading and the water and the construction, we don't deal with it here. They have to deal with it at the permit stage and the construction, and they will have to satisfy the conditions of the permit. Because if they didn't have these variances here, the 4 variances, they wouldn't be here, and they still have those problems. So those are dealt at the permit stage. So let's see, as far as the variances, members, do you have any question for the speaker? Ms. Atarodisi has a question.
Yes, actually, Mr. Chair, I have a question for the neighbors. I would like to ask him to let me know which windows on this side, which side window is he referring, on the east or west, ground floor or second floor?
The window I'm referring is on the east side of the building. It's the below grade window that looks into a basement bathroom.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other question? No? Okay, so we'll go to the next speaker, who is Michael Kalmar. Are you there, Michael Kalmar?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Kalmar. Could you please state your name and address for us?
Yes, of course. Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Mike Kalmar, and I'm the owner of 44 Rochester Avenue, immediately to the west of the applicants.
Thank you. Tell us what's your concern here.
Okay, great. So thanks so much. Per my letter of objection, I wish to address 3 issues with this application and respectfully ask that this application be refused or deferred pending changes. So the 3 primary issues are, first, the side setback between our properties, which is variance 2. The second one is the overall height, variance 3. And last, clarification on the new side separation between our properties. So dealing with issue 1, the side setback, variance 2, when the houses were originally built in, I believe, the 1930s, The driveway of 48 Rochester, the applicant, was built over our property line. So about 1/3 of their driveway is on my property. Related to this, our house was originally built closer to the property line than the current bylaw of 1.5 meters and has been historically less than 1 meters from the property line since then. So it's approximately 0.8 meters by my calculation. My understanding is the current bylaws require 3 meters total setback between properties with 1.5 meters on each side. If this variation were granted, it would mean a total separation of only 2 meters approximately, which is far too close, especially for a new build of this size. This would result in encroachment on my property and block light, especially to the 3 basement windows directly opposite 48, not to mention increased risk during construction due to lack of buffer if new footings are dug that much closer to my property and would likely impact our property value. Thank you very much. I can see you've got the picture up, which I've attached. I think if you go back to the first picture, this one, the scaling on this one is a little bit off. If you go to the first one, I think that's more accurate. Thank you very much. So I therefore respectfully ask that this variation be refused and ask whether the committee can recommend that the total distance between the buildings is kept to a minimum of 3 meters. So that's the first issue. The second issue is the overall height, variance 3. The proposed height of 10.44 meters is excessive, impacts the look of the neighborhood and the light coming to my property. A simple, modest reduction of 1/2 foot to each of the ceiling heights across all 3 proposed above-grade floors would bring it into compliance with the bylaw. And I therefore respectfully ask the committee deny variance 3 and keep the total height to 10 meters. And then lastly, the third significant issue is there's been no clarification on any details regarding the new side separation between our properties. Despite multiple requests on my part, the applicants have been unwilling to provide any details at all on their proposed removal of all historical side separation between our properties. And I therefore ask the application be deferred or refused until good faith efforts are made to clarify these details. Such details include ensuring an independent property boundary survey is done as the property lines are unclear, agreeing how to finish the remainder of the driveway on my property after they demolish their side. So again, the 1/3 that would be left after they demolish 2/3. Agreeing how the revised separation of our 2 properties looks, such as fencing, privacy hedges, paving, as well as protecting my front garden retaining wall, which is almost on the property line. So for clarity, our property line is in the middle of 48's driveway, or it's about 1/3 of the way onto 48's driveway, which currently is the main visual and light separation between our properties, which 48 proposes to remove completely. Additionally, the visual property boundaries are different at 4 different places: the driveway, the side of the house, the rear hedges, and the rear garden fence, meaning that rather than one straight line between the properties, there are effectively 4 visual or actual lines of separation between our properties. I've prompted the applicants repeatedly over half a year and prior to the previous Committee of Adjustment meeting last July, but they are simply unwilling to engage here. I've attached a couple of examples of email correspondence where I asked repeatedly for clarity in June, July, and again in September 2021, which they simply refused to answer. Interestingly, I see there's a similar issue with our neighbor who's just spoken immediately to the east at number 52, where they would also like detail on the historical boundary issue related to water runoff, which has also not been provided. All of my friends who've done works in the neighborhood clarified such questions in good faith before coming to the Committee of Adjustment, and nearly all of them had the support of their immediate neighbors. I therefore respectfully ask that the permission here is deferred or refused until these side separation issues for both immediate neighbors can be reasonably resolved in good faith. Thank you once again for your consideration. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you. Any question for this speaker? Okay, staff, is there Peter Osborne back or he's not? I mean, yeah, we have, there was one missing, Peter Osborne.
Mr. Chair, Peter has not come back for this
No, huh?
application, no.
Okay, all right, so that's all we have. Okay, okay, Mr. Meteljan, yeah, could you please address the concerns of all the speakers that have been talking here?
Yes, yes, I would be happy to. Thanks. In regard to the first speaker and the issues with GFA, FSI, and the issues of new houses being more dominant on the streetscape than older homes, I can certainly understand his concern. I can certainly understand the concern of the community, and certainly this is something which exists in all communities, all across the GTA, where there's been significant infill of new homes. My comment there, though, is that I believe that he's seeing the elevation of the new home, and he's assuming that what's driving that elevation, what's driving that mass, is the GFA. But that's not necessarily true. In fact, when you simply look at a front elevation of a house, you have no way of knowing what's happening inside there. And so you have to look at the totality of the bylaws, at the totality of what the zoning bylaw will allow. And I completely understand his concern. But if you were to hypothetically take one or two of those houses that he showed us in those images, and if you were to bring the back wall in by 1 meter or 2 meters, it would change the FSI, but it wouldn't change the front appearance. If you were to create more open to above spaces inside those homes, it would create more, it wouldn't change the appearance of the house, but it would change the FSI number. So you can't necessarily look at a house and say it's too big. The problem is the FSI. So I understand his concern and similar concerns of people in existing communities, but you need to really understand that the appearance of the house and the FSI are not the same thing. So that would be my comment there. In regard to the second speaker, the issues of water and so on, as the chair very well said, these are all things. And the third speaker also alluded to some issues about protection of foundations and so on and so forth. These are all issues that would be dealt with through planning, through the establishment of construction shoring on the site, through the establishment of measures to prevent the runoff of water, through the building permit process. There would be a whole grading plan that would be done, and all of these issues are dealt with through the building process, not through the committee of adjustment process, and they're not germane on the issue of the variances. In terms of the third speaker and the issues about the side yard setbacks and so on, my comments there are several. The old bylaw, he made reference to the fact that his house was built prior to the new bylaws, which clearly is true. The old bylaw in this area actually allowed 0.9 meter of setback. That accounts for his setback. His comments about there not being an accurate surveys and so on, our site plan, which is up now, is in fact drawn on top of a survey. It shows his house. It shows the surveyor's step-backs to his house and so on, and shows the property line. So that's a survey, and so he can be assured that in fact this was done, and he can see where the lot line is in relation to his home, in relation to the driveway. He suggested that 1/3 of the existing driveway was on his property. In fact, by the survey, it's much less than that. In regard to the question about the separation of the two homes, he was making an assumption that the bylaw required 3 meters of separation between the houses. That's his interpretation, but in fact, the bylaw doesn't affect his house. The bylaw is, as the committee will know, on the lot by lot basis. The bylaw in this case requires 1.5 meter of setback. The proposal that's before you is for 1.22 meter of setback. So roughly 0.2828 meter is the difference. And the question really has to be, what impact will that additional 0.28 have on him and have on his property? He would like there to be a full 3 meter of setback between the homes, but the bylaw doesn't require that. And in terms of the impact on to his property of that 0.28 meter difference, my submission to the committee would be that in fact there is not a significant impact.
Okay.
And for that reason, I would ask the committee to approve the variances.
Why? You're 5 minutes exactly. Thank you.
Yes, I was watching the clock. Thank you.
Okay. Members, any questions for this speaker? And I have Ms. Tarodi's hand on. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. To you, I also would like to ask the presenter, the agent, to also explain about the east side window that one of the neighbors, I think the second presenter was, if I'm not mistaken, that had overlooked to their property.
Yes, certainly. No, my understanding, and we can clarify with the speaker, my understanding with the east window wasn't an overlook issue. My understanding, because the presenter was talking about a basement window, and he was talking about, and we can clarify that, as I say, with the gentleman. My understanding was that he was talking about a basement window that we're proposing on the east side of the house, and his concern was that the window well, which is an allowed projection, that the window well was going to be so close to the property line that it was potentially going to, during the course of construction, that it was potentially, yes, you can see it there on the bottom part of the screen, the window well. And so my understanding was that his concern was that the proximity of that window well to the property line was such that it was going to erode, as a excavation was happening, that was going to erode his property and was going to damage his walkway. My response there is that well, two things. One is that that's not a credit adjustment issue, but that would be something that would be dealt with. That's a construction issue that will necessarily have to be construction shoring along that side, and that will protect that construction shoring will protect his property. So that would be my response to that comment.
What's that? Oh, okay. Any other question? Mr. Klassen, did you have a question? No. Okay. Miss Manning, I saw your hand. Did you have another question? No? Okay, then can I have a motion then, please? Mr. Klassen?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I will move after listening to the neighbors and their concerns, some of which I think are normal concerns when there's a redevelopment, when there's construction occurring at the property that is very close or adjacent. But taking a look at the variances that are being requested, and that's what we have to focus on. They are minor. They are in keeping with the four tests. So I will move to approve the application.
Okay. There's no condition here, huh?
No.
Do I have a second? Can I have a second, please? No second? Okay. Okay, there is no second, so the motion fails. Do I have another motion? Another motion? Ms. Sankar or Ms. Ms. Tarodi or Ms. Manning? Ms. Sankar?
I'm Matarodi, but after listening to all the neighbors, it's okay, that still there are issues that they haven't been resolved with the neighbors. Although we listened to the whole application, my motion will be to defer this application.
To what? To
signing. Defer the application.
Defer?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Okay, defer. You have a motion to defer the application, Sanidai? Okay, and that's Mr. Atarodi. She's asking to defer the application after we heard it. And do I have a second for that? Miss Manning, second. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, so two members to defer, Sanidai, and opposed by Mr. Klassen. And that will conclude our, sir, your application is deferred, Sanidai, and this conclude our session, and I'll ask for a motion to terminate the session. Can I have a motion to terminate, please? Miss Manning to terminate. Second. Ms. Atarodi, all in favor? Okay, thank you. So the session is terminated. It's 5:50. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.